Continuing from the previous episode 1765. Tianxin continent. This is the second-ranked continent among the 4 continents divided by Btth continent. The number of resources and powerhouses on the continent is far from comparable to that of Xuanling continent. An existence on the same level as Yinhushan. I don't know about Tianxin continent. What's wrong? Sitting on the spaceship, Xiao Yan asked Lin Qingwen on the deck. The Tianxin continent is not as good as the Xuanling continent, because we are a continent built with the most wood attributes, such as refining pharmacists and smiths. And I have to say that the wood attributes that the royal family of our heavenly star continent has mastered. I am afraid that in the entire Btth continent, there are some fierce names. When Xiao Yan asked this, Lin Qingwen also laughed. Oh, wood attribute? Xiao Yan said with a smile when he heard the words. The amber rock soul fire produced by the fusion of the 4-color holy flames in his body is no less powerful than the top 15 holy flames, so this time, Xiao Yan did not want to expose it easily. In addition to the wood attribute that Xiao Yan has never had the time and opportunity to cultivate, it seems that this time the Tianxin continent has really come to the right. Wait, something's wrong. Isn't the Tianxin continent famous for the power of the stars? How can you use the wood attribute? For a while, Xiao Yan remembered that the Tianxin continent was founded by a strong man who mastered the power of the stars. The power of the stars is too illusory, and it has long disappeared under the rule of countless generations of royal families. Now the wood attribute is prosperous, and it is also forced by the situation. Lin Qingwen also said regretfully, "Sir, go back and rest, because there are some problems with the space channel, so you need to transform once in the middle, and we will wake up the adults." Lin Qingwen did not forget to instruct. Xiao Yan heard the words, and gently walked towards the spaceship. Although there are still many doubts, but only when he arrives in the Tianxin continent can he have a chance to understand, and Xiao Yan feels that it seems that this Lin Qingwen don't know the exact facts. The Xuanling continent and the Tianxin continent are thousands of miles away, and the space channel can only transmit thousands of miles. In addition, the endless fire domain has no ability to build a time-space wormhole, so it must be divided into secondary space channels. Tianmu City. This place has been separated from the Xuanling continent, and one can clearly feel the strong energy of heaven and earth suspended in the air. Compared with the Xuanling continent, it is undoubtedly much more tyrannical. Tianmu City is located at the very edge of Tianxin continent, but this is a quite prosperous city, because there is a rather tyrannical space passage here, so it is the only way for many strong people to travel. Let's go straight. We have the princess's warrant, and the Tianmu City lord should also belong to the princess's faction, so they won't make it difficult for us. Xiao Yan and everyone just exited the space passage, and Lin Qingwen said immediately. The exits of the space passages are all located in the city, but the exits and entrances are in the north and south directions, respectively. At this time, Xiao Yan and everyone just came out of the space passage exits, trying to go to the other entrance, and entering that entrance, they can arrive directly at the core of Tianxin continent, the land of the royal family. Let's go. Several entourages behind him said softly, looking around cautiously. Strange. There seems to be some strange aura here. When Xiao Yan followed Lin Qingwen towards the entrance of the space in the city, there was a rather strange feeling from the soul power in his body, and this feeling, Xiao Yan but remember clearly. This smell seems to be the fluctuations of the light-based vindictive aura cast by the demon of light before. Moreover, the light-based fighting spirit, not to mention the Btth continent, even the entire human world is only possessed by the Holy Sea. Furthermore, the power of the Holy Sea is distributed in countless regions in the human world, and the Btth continent is only an important branch of the Holy Sea. As for where their headquarters is set up, few people know. Grown-ups, here is Tianmu City. We need to enter the space passage from here to reach the royal land smoothly. On the other side, a thin man in gorgeous clothes was facing the 4 in front of him, bathed in black robes. The strange man below said, "N." The 4 strange men spoke slowly, and immediately followed. They were in front of Xiao Yan's crowd. This? Lin Qingwen? Why is he here? After a while waiting to step into the entrance of the space passage in a huge square, Lin Qingwen's face unconsciously became ugly. What's wrong? Looking at Lin Qingwen's sudden face, Xiao Yan asked. Lord Xiao Yan, please take a look. This thin man in front of him is about the late stage of the 4-star fighting immortals. She is not from the princess's faction. Instead, she has a grudge against the princess. This time, she hastily left the Star Continent. I am afraid it is also to get help. The thin man in the distance said solemnly. Is he a supporter of the other two candidates? Xiao Yan surveyed slightly. These four guys are a bit strong. After some inquiries, Xiao Yan was a little surprised, because under the four men in black robes in front of him, there was probably a light-type battle she hidden in front of them, but among the four, except for one person in the middle stage of 5-star fighting immortals, the strength of the other three people vaguely made Xiao Yan somewhat incomprehensible. Even among the four figures, a guy with a big complexion gave Xiao Yan an unprecedented impression. Teacher, what's the matter? At the same time, there was a sudden communication among the four figures in black robes waiting to enter the entrance of the space at the edge of the round platform. It seems to have found something interesting. The black-robed old man opened his mouth slightly, and there was a smile in his voice. That is, Lin Qingwen, and Xiao Yan, who just ruled the Xuanling continent's endless fire territory. At this time, Lin Qingyun couldn't help but laugh. Lin Qingwen is one of the princess's confidants, if he can be killed. It is even possible to completely obliterate the domain owner of this endless fire domain. After returning, that adult should reward himself with a lot of benefits. My lords, that is Lin Qingwen, who supports the princess faction, and the recently rumored endless fire domain owner Xiao Yan. Lin Qingyun said with a smile. Xiao Yan? This guy seems to have the same name and surname as the Xiao Yan mentioned by the Son of Light. I just don't know if it is the same person. Forget it. Now that we have met, then trouble the old man Huang. Let's kill those guys in one go, and save our time. After a while, the black-robed old man said casually, a powerhouse from the Holy See. At this moment, Xiao Yan laughed. The strength of the black-robed old man may have reached the 6-star Do Xian, which is why he was able to give himself such a tyrannical oppression. Unfortunately, Xiao Yan today Yan's strength has skyrocketed. If there is no 7-star fighting immortal powerhouse, I am afraid it will be extremely difficult to completely obliterate it. I am afraid that the mere 6-star fighting immortal is not enough. For a time, the 100-meter round platform square where there were only Xiao Yan and the two old men in black robes was filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on link2novel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1766. Gululu. For a time, the huge 100-meter circular square was suddenly completely covered with a ray of Beizi, and then a heavy depression filled the bodies of Lin Qingwen and several people, making their footsteps involuntarily become extremely heavy. After all, the strength of several people is still too weak. Hush! Xiao Yan didn't panic. A soft big celestial crimson flame surrounded Lin Qingwen and the others, temporarily relieving their depression, and then his eyes became deep. A realm. The powerhouse of the Holy See is truly well deserved. Xiao Yan's soft voice filled the entire realm. Nice sense of smell and perception, but unfortunately today will end you. The person who came here did not show up. Apparently he had completely merged with the White Realm at this time, and said in a rather contemptuous tone. 5-star fighting immortals complete light system? After a while, Xiao Yan sensed the specific strength of the person coming from this contemptuous voice. Get down! After the blink of an eye, Xiao Yan's palm suddenly lifted, and the dazzling power of the great heavenly seed flame was like a long rainbow, blasting directly towards the sky above the domain. The aura made people shudder. Peefed! With a sound, Xiao Yan hit a gap in the pure white domain, and then a rather strange figure appeared. The mysterious powerhouse originally hidden in the domain, the black robe on his body was completely burned by Xiao Yan's flame and turned into nothingness, but a very conspicuous black and white robe appeared on his body. The black and white robe seemed to be different from ordinary clothes. It easily isolated Xiao Yan's flame power completely, and even contained a trace of tyrannical light-type fighting qi, which continuously repaired the fighting qi in the mysterious powerhouse's body. The Holy See powerhouse? Prince Lin Feng really had secretly liaised with the Holy See for a long time. This beast. Lin Qingwen said with a livid face when he looked at the man in special attire like a monk. The Holy See is quite greedy. They not only preach that the angels of light they believe in can save all the jealousy in the world, they even collect the power of faith everywhere for this, and they have coveted other continents for a long time. Prince Lin Feng agreed to cooperate with them. I'm afraid it also paid a lot of money, and the Holy See's strength is too huge, which is clearly to introduce a wolf into the room. Obviously, that guy even paid all the price in order to get the support of the Holy See, and the purpose of doing so was to succeed as long as he was able to elect himself. Under the endless fire territory, the domain master never kills the nameless, your honorable name? Xiao Yan smiled when he looked at the guy in front of him. Since this time I went to the Tianxin continent, and these guys are from other factions, there is no need to be soft-hearted, and the endless fire territory has just started, so naturally it needs some things to help it to make it famous. Church Huang of the Holy See. At this moment, the black-robed monk man was not despising Xiao Yan. He knew the tyranny of the flame power on Xiao Yan's body, so he was vigilant. Cultivator Huang? It is said that in the Holy See, from the lowest entourage to the third-level monks in blue, white and black, and above, there are the 6 major believers. In addition, there are the 3 major red-clothed archbishops and the Pope. Xiao Yan slightly muttering, after all, the system of the Holy See is not a secret, but I don't know if this is true. Weight is too serious to kill. Let me recite a chant of saving all sentient beings and end the violence of et al. Goddess of light, I swear by your devout people. For a while, Cultivator Huang did not pay attention to the actions of Xiao Yan and the others, raised his hands high, and continued to chant some rather ancient mantras. And every time he chanted, on his black and white robe, strands of light as clear as sunlight slowly emerged, and even this kind of power made Xiao Yan feel an unprecedented feeling, and even the fighting qi in his body stopped. Flow. It is said that the light system of the Holy See powerhouse is not based on absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but to a large extent, with the help of some incantations, with the help of the power of light, once it is used, its attack power can be described as extremely tyrannical. At this time, Lin Qingwen said solemnly, "What will be the effect of killing them?" Looking at the mighty cultivator Huang, Xiao Yan turned his head and asked Lin Qingwen, "What? Kill them? Sir, don't be joking. There are 4 of them. This guy should not be the strongest among the 4. If he kills him, I am afraid it will lead to death for us." Quote. Quiet me. Lin Qingwen roared, looking at the frightened look of his followers. Lord Xiao Yan, they are all heretics who resist the princess. If you can kill them, I'm afraid it will be very helpful for the election of the princess. Lin Qingwen smiled. Fire. Hearing Lin Qingwen's words, Xiao Yan spoke softly, without any hesitation. The ancient ruler of eternal fire appeared in his hand, and with the power of the great heaven seed, he moved his body directly and slashed at the chanting cultivator Huang. Cutaway. The fighting skills this guy chanted at this time were at the level of saint rank, to say the least, and he was quite powerful, but it was obviously not a wise choice to treat Xiao Yan as an idiot. Peefed. Just as Xiao Yan's fierce attack was about to hit cultivator Huang, his entire body was completely protected by a white halo. Very strong defense. It's a pity to meet me. At this moment, Xiao Yan laughed like a demon. On the palm of his hand, the amber rock's soul fire flashed away, and the white defensive shield was instantly shattered, and even before cultivator Huang could find out how Xiao Yan solved his defensive shield, Xiao Yan's heavy ruler directly pierced through cultivator Huang's body and even smashed his soul into pieces. In the next moment, cultivator Huang fell sadly. This guy never imagined that his defensive shield, which was comparable to that of a 6-star fighting fairy, was destroyed by Xiao Yan. Let's go. Go and meet a few other people. Since the grievances have been forged, there is no need to hide them. With a wave of his hand, the Yuo Henggu ruler was carried behind his back, and a large flame emerged, directly smashing the monk's body burned to ashes. After a while, the white field dissipated, and Xiao Yan had an evil smile on the corner of his mouth. He walked over to the other people from the edge of the circular square and looked at the other 3 men in black robes. Teacher, cultivator Huang's aura no longer exists. At this moment, one of the 3 black-robed men led by Lin Qingyun couldn't help muttering. Endless fire territory is indeed a bit powerful, but it's a pity. After a while, the one with the most powerful breath among the 3 black-robed figures directly took off his robe, but on his rather ordinary and kind cheeks it was a terrifying emotion. This is one of the powerhouses of the 6 major believers? At this moment, Lin Qingwen and several others were pale, like dead ashes. For nothing else, the identity of the 6 major believers is enough to easily obliterate them, because the strength of the believers is between the middle stage of the 6-star fighting immortal and the 7-star fighting immortal. Not to mention that the 6 major believers still master the extremely tyrannical fighting skills in the Holy See. This time, Lin Qingwen and several people knew that following Xiao Yan, I am afraid that there will be death and no life. Continuing from the previous episode 1767. Go! Tangling the other people, leaving this guy. Leave it to the teacher. For a while, the other 2 weak Vatican men were like ghosts, and they completely subdued Lin Qingwen and the others in an instant. If it wasn't for the fear of Xiao Yan's strange strength, and the rumors that Xiao Yan was too high, I'm afraid they would directly take action to arrest Xiao Yan. Lord, go! After being caught by the 2 men from the Holy See, Lin Qingwen roared at Xiao Yan, who was motionless. In any case, this time the princess explained her task. It must be completed. Otherwise Lin Qingwen will have no face to see the princess, and judging from the tone of the princess's instructions before leaving, Xiao Yan must be quiet in this election. If an important person loses the election because of his own reasons, I am afraid that he will feel extremely guilty. Xiao Yan in the Endless Fire territory. It's true that you have some ability, but you killed my Holy See envoy Huang Shu, and today, this disciple will bring you to justice. After a while, the Holy See old man stared gloomily at Xiao Yan and smiled. With his strength, cultivator Huang could have been rescued, but in order to obliterate Xiao Yan, there must be some reasonable excuses. After all, this guy is now also the ruler of the Endless Fire territory. To obliterate him for no reason will give the Holy See a lesson. A lot of trouble. This kind of trick, don't take it out for shame. Don't you think that a believer in the mid-level 6-star fighting immortal can kill me? It's too small to underestimate my Endless Fire territory. Xiao Yan shook his head without any extra action, but the arrogance in his voice was not concealed in the slightest. To deal with this kind of guy, the only way to deal with this kind of guy is to use violence to control violence. Most convincing. And what surprised Xiao Yan was that this guy actually wanted to use the fall of cultivator Huang as an excuse to obliterate himself. Unfortunately, this guy did not think about his own strength in battle, so there was nothing he could do about it. Stinky boy, you can't live without dying. Light beam. With a light snort, the old man was surrounded by a milky white halo, his speed skyrocketed, his hand turned into an eagle claw, and it shot at Xiao Yan. The fierce attack strength turned out to be the energy of heaven and earth. They all shook violently. Hot explosion technique. Xiao Yan said softly upon seeing this, his body suddenly became lighter, his speed skyrocketed, and he directly dealt with him. The guy who ranks 5th among the 6 major believers. This guy is the representative of close-to-hand combat, Lord Xiao Yan. I hope you are all right. At this moment, Lin Qingwen and the others could only watch the battle in silence. If things really get to the point of being irreversible, I am afraid that with their loyalty, they can only die. Crash! The speed of the old man from the Holy See skyrocketed, and the attack instantly spread to Xiao Yan's body. Kacha kacha! Even if the offensive in the hands of the Holy See elders is extremely fierce, every time they hit Xiao Yan's body, they will be digested by a rather hot flame. For a time, in the entire round terrace square, Xiao Yan and the Holy See elders also keep fighting. This is the territory of Tianmu City, but even if there is such a fierce battle here, no one will come to inspect. After all, like today's eventful autumn in the Star Continent, everyone is in danger and only seeks to protect themselves, and both sides have royal people to pick up. Introduced, these defenders do not want to intervene. Little brother, it's getting late, I'll send you on your way. After a while, the old man of the Holy See stopped the melee fight with Xiao Yan. Immediately, white light appeared all over his body, and a tyrannical white halo emerged like the morning sun. Singing fighting skills? I won't give you this chance. Xiao Yan saw the old man's intention at a glance, waved his palm, and the power of the great heavenly seed swept out. The fighting skills that this guy used were obviously not on the same level as the fighting skills that cultivator Huang wanted to use just now. Crash! You were too embarrassed to take out such a weak power? The old man of the Holy See shook his head lightly, disdainfully saying that he could completely destroy it with a single blow. Don't get too happy too soon. The array of immortal silk and vine. After a short while, Xiaoyan's mouth burst into laughter. With a wave of his palm, a green door of light completely enveloped the place. Peefed! As soon as he was enveloped by the green light door, the boundless green trees grew wildly, instantly changing the appearance of everyone around them. Teacher! Sir! What's going on? With such a sudden scene, Lin Qingyun and the other two men in black lost their voices at the same time, and the wildly growing trees around him exuded a strong sense of crisis, which made people shudder. This guy is not as simple as I imagined. At this time, the old man of the Holy See blinked with different eyes, and this level of formation is not only something that an unknown person can use. Hoo! After casting the formation, Xiaoyan's figure was completely hidden behind the green leaves of the trees, and the figures of the other Lin Qingwen were also rescued by Xiaoyan. Huh? The breath of the Soul Palace? When Xiaoyan was just about to launch an attack, he smelled the disgusting breath of the Silk Soul Palace by relying on the formation that he had enhanced. Boom! With a sound, the clothes of the old man of the Holy See, a halo of sunlight, suddenly emerged, and the formation spread instantly. Lord Xiaoyan, what's the matter? After Shunshi, Lin Qingwen didn't have time to be overjoyed, but found Xiaoyan's face, which was rather ugly, and hurriedly asked. Some uninvited guests. Forget it. I want to see what these guys are going to do. After some thought, Xiaoyan suddenly had other plans, and the energy in the formation suddenly decreased. As time passed, it turned out to be a faint yo-yos became fragmented crack. With a sound, the old man of the Holy See also did not understand that Xiaoyan's formation would suddenly decrease in energy and be completely destroyed by himself, and Xiaoyan's breath also became weak. But at this time, he obviously didn't have time to think so much. As long as he dedicated Xiaoyan to Lord Ziyi, then his status would be further improved, and his future would be bright. Susu. Xiaoyan from the Endless Fire Territory, the fifth believer of the Holy See. This time, it's really a bumper harvest. And as Xiaoyan was pale and his face was pale, he sat in the square, a hideous laughter and black mist instantly surrounded the entire square. Soul. The guy from the Soul Palace? At this time, Rao, with the strength of the old man of the Holy See, couldn't help but get heavier. Not good. At this moment, Xiaoyan also realized something and hesitated. Stay well for this seat. Just as Xiaoyan was about to escape, a black light directly bound Xiaoyan to the spot, but these guys never noticed the flashing smile on the corner of Xiaoyan's mouth. Hand over all of your souls, otherwise you will all fall here today. After Shunshi, a gloomy figure wrapped in black mist, like a master, said to everyone here, and there was an unexpected sound in his voice. It is full of tyrannical fluctuations. 6-star fighting immortal is complete. Continuing from the previous episode 1768. At the same time, thousands of miles away from Tianxin continent, there are some core places in Douyin continent. At this time, inside a magnificent ancient temple, the temple as a whole was quite large, and there were countless faint lights on the surrounding walls, and wisps of yellow light shone out. In the temple, many steps were densely covered. Above the steps are hundreds of faint soul light groups arranged in sequence. Under the steps of the temple, an old man closed his eyes and sat quietly. Kacha! With a sound, one of the soul light groups on the steps suddenly swelled up, rippling like ripples, and instantly shattered. This is the soul light group of the fifth believer Yasnail. After a while, the old man opened his eyes slightly, looked at the broken and disappeared soul light group at will, and immediately revealed what was recorded in it, but in this understated voice, there is actually a touch of mysterious power that is enough to make the world pale. Here is the core of the Holy See, the Church of Souls. Every strong person who serves in the Holy See must leave a trace of his soul power here at the moment of joining the Holy See. On the one hand, it is to detect the purity of the soul. If it is a dirty soul, it is impossible to join the Holy See. On the other hand, it is to better know the life and death of these powerhouses. After all, the Holy See is extremely protective of the short term. Once it is discovered who has obliterated the powerhouses in their Holy See, they will pursue them endlessly. The broken soul light group symbolizes complete death, and the dim soul light group is a serious injury. At this time, Yasnail's soul light group is instantly broken, which proves that he has completely fallen. No matter it is a black soul, it is all destroyed by the murderer. HMPH. I don't know who it is, who dares to kill our top officials of the Holy See. Buck. Go and investigate, who did it. Remember, do whatever it takes. After a while, the eyes of the old man in red were blurred, and a majestic killing intent permeated. Yes, Lord Cardinal. As the old man's voice fell, a man in a gorgeous gray robe appeared out of thin air, and lightly agreed, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. And even the seemingly old-fashioned cardinal in front of him, his strength may have reached the realm of Tong Zan. In Tianmu City, sir, seeing that the fifth believer Yas Ding was completely obliterated by the powerhouse in the Soul Palace in front of him, Lin Qingyun and the other two powerhouses accompanying the Holy See said with a very solemn expression. The two of them came here to answer the invitation of Master Lin Qingyun to solve the election of the Star Continent. Now they have been obliterated by the powerhouses of the Soul Palace. If this kind of thing spreads out, I am afraid. Susu, where to run? Crushing Yasnael's heart into pieces, the Soul Hall powerhouse waved his hand, and a white light suddenly shot out from his shattered body towards the outside world. Susu, it feels so delicious. The asterisk mouth opened, and he was about to devour all the soul power of Yaspin, who was about to escape. At the same time, the power and the soul of the strong man soared in an instant. Many. You can't run away either. Looking at this scene, the Soul Palace strong man looked at the other Holy See powerhouses with his eyes closed, and the three of them had no chance to escape, and were easily obliterated by him. Lord Xiaoyan, at this moment, watching the tyrannical fifth believer Ya Si Ding were directly obliterated by him, and then his soul was extracted and swallowed directly. Lin Qingyun's eyes showed a look of panic. If it wasn't for the Lord of the Palace who needed the holy flame and some things in your body, I'm afraid I would have devoured you directly today. The domain master of the endless fire domain is just a little trick. After doing all this, the powerhouse of the Soul Palace came to Xiaoyan with a smirk. I don't know where you are sacred to the Soul Palace? 12 souls? 5 soul guards? Xiaoyan's body is ready for a dazzling attack. Obviously, he must go all out in the face of this tyrannical Soul Palace powerhouse. Oh, how do you know so much? But it's a pity. I am in existence above them. If you have any last words, let's keep it until you see the Hall Master. During the speech, the soul body of the Soul Hall powerhouse slowly emerged a faint light, even a faint light. The black robe also burst out with a dazzling power of space. Space channel? But it's too early to be happy to say this now. Acacia Flame Territory, Immortal Array. Seeing that the strong man in the Soul Palace was about to use the space channel to send a few of them back to the base camp of the Soul Palace, Xiaoyan did not hesitate, and suddenly made a move. For a time, a huge formation based on the pink field completely shrouded the entire square, and the imprisoning force of the extremely tyrannical flame breath rushed towards the face. Xiaoyan really wanted to visit the so-called Hall Master of the Soul Palace, but now his strength is weak, and the matter in the Tianxin continent is not over for the time being, so he can only take action at the last minute, otherwise once it is used by him, I am afraid it will destroy him. Many plans. 55,000 lines, that's not enough. Seeing that his whole body was enveloped in a tyrannical flame, Xiaoyan roared when he noticed the number of lines. It's not enough to deal with this 6-star Do Xian perfection-level Soul Temple powerhouse. 57,000 paths. 60,000? At the end, Xiaoyan's pupils became red, and his dazzling power raised his power to the peak. And these 60,000 core inscriptions are naturally the peak of Xiaoyan's first display after returning from the Ghost World. Although it can't completely imprison the powerhouses of the Soul Palace, it is still enough to delay time. With the use of the swallowing flame technique, coupled with the increase in the Acacia Flame domain, Xiaoyan's strength was directly increased to the late stage of the 6-star fighting immortal. A powerful formation, but it won't imprison me for too long. How is that possible, in the late stage of 6-star fighting immortals? Before the smile in the mouth of the powerful Soul Hall, he could smell the tyrannical fluctuations in Xiaoyan's body. Dragon God's first change and third change. Fighting Soul. Under the cover of the formation, Xiaoyan was fully armed. The power of the late 6-star fighting immortal, coupled with the protection of the ghost of the fighting soul, and the increase in the first and third transformation of the Dragon God, Xiaoyan today can be said to be the strongest posture. Bangkacha! With a sound, the seemingly tyrannical formation became shaky for a while. Obviously, even the combination of 60,000 core formation patterns and Xiaoyan's Acacia Flame domain is for a 6-star Do Xian perfection level powerhouse. Still not enough. After all, the power of the formation pattern, 10,000 paths corresponds to 1-star Do Xian, and so on, but with the help of the cover of the formation, Xiaoyan finally adjusted himself to the peak state, and the power of the formation was also gently dissipated at the last moment. Wait, this is it? At the last moment, looking at Xiaoyan's back, an amber flame appeared gently like a blazing sun, but the soul body of the Soul Hall powerhouse burst out with panic. This level of flame fluctuation is not a holy flame, and the amber flame alone makes the Soul Palace strong like a great enemy. The vindictive energy in the body is continuously released, and the black mist is released from the body uncontrollably. Come out, obviously quite afraid of the amber flame. Since returning from the ghost world, it was the first time that he went all out to deal with the 6-star fighting immortal. Continuing from the previous episode 1769. Susu. It's no wonder that the 12 soul venerable and the 5 soul guards, as well as many strong men in the hall, are jointly guarded. With such strength and courage, I, Soul Wind, would like to show you what the great means of guarding the Soul Palace is. Seeing Xiaoyan's arrogant posture, the Soul Palace powerhouse suddenly laughed. If you have any last words and means, just show it, otherwise, under the fire of holy flame, your dirty souls will only be turned to ashes. Xiaoyan stood in the pink lovesickness flame field, amber-colored. The flames completely shrouded his body, and he looked at Soul Wind Dao vigilantly. At this time, the strange black mist that appeared around Soul Wind, combined with the power of the 6-star Do Xian perfection level, was like a ghost, exuding endless eerie aura. Immortal fire feather? Without any hesitation, Xiaoyan's body moved abruptly, and a trace of gray feathers was like a sword blade, blasting him away at a rapid speed. Soul Fiendish Thorn. Seeing Xiaoyan's domineering attack, Soul Wind raised his palm slightly, and countless black mists were easily condensed into a pitch-black stick. Countless dark lines appeared on the stick, as if it had been engraved. It's like a magic weapon with an evil aura. With a sound, Soul Feng waved the black stick in his hand, and energy ripples spread out like spring water. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoyan's attack was completely annihilated. Amber Rock's Soul Fire. Xiaoyan didn't even think that with the power of the fighting soul, he could stop the Soul Wind. After a while, the amber flame burst out with an extremely hot and sacred wave, and under Xiaoyan's control, it directly turned into a head. The ferocious giant beast, staring at the Soul Wind with ferocious eyes, such a terrifying and tyrannical amber rock soul fire transformed into a giant beast, is enough to easily tear any 6-star fighting immortal. Give me a stab. Looking at the ferocious beast transformed by the fire of the holy flame, Soul Wind's soul body became illusory, and a wave of depression filled his heart. After all, the fire of the holy flame is inherently sacred, and it naturally has an extremely tyrannical suppression for such a sinister power as the soul body. Boom! As the voice of the Soul Wind just fell, a dazzling black light erupted from the black stick in his hand, and the countless pitch-black lines slowly swayed like worms, and then it turned into a black light with a size of hundreds of feet. Roaring away at the ferocious beast. Ow! Seeing this, the ferocious beast suddenly raised its head, and immediately let out a low roar, its voice filled with endless anger. Give it to me, Xiaoyan said coldly. At the same time, the soul power in the body was being mobilized. At this moment, if the Buddha's wrath reincarnation is used, it will be enough to kill the Soul Wind, but unfortunately, the means of suppressing the bottom of the box cannot be exposed too much, so Xiaoyan wants to use the soul attack fighting skills and other means to completely kill it, because Xiaoyan perceives that the soul power of this Soul Wind has just entered the early stage of Taishu, and compared with himself, there is undoubtedly a lot of gap. Hey! The mysterious black light and the ferocious beast just collided, and the black light was immediately melted by the amber flame on the ferocious beast. I am afraid that it will not take a few breaths, and the black light will completely disintegrate. It seems that I can only use that thing. Looking at this scene, Soul Feng shook his head weakly. Obviously, he did not expect that the power of the holy flame on Xiaoyan would be so tyrannical. Less than the 15th ranked Shengen. Crack! With a sound, the black light shattered, the amber flame on the ferocious beast's body was soaring, its body twisted, and it fluttered directly at the soul wind. Btth, sacrificing the soul lock. Looking at the aggressive and ferocious beast, Soul Wind let out a low roar, and immediately a mouthful of blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth. It is strange to say that there is no human body, but only the soul wind in the state of the soul. The color of the blood is actually a strange color. Even when the blood is spewing out, the entire field is filled with a rather strange feeling. Strength. Heavenly Soul Chain, 10,000 people serve. In an instant, blood spurted out in a dark color, and a pitch-black chain with a size of 100 meters suddenly appeared in Xiaoyan's domain. Is the soul lock of life. Xiaoyan raised his head slightly, and suddenly muttered. Yu Mingtian, seeing the pitch-black chains that were as powerful as bamboos, attacking him with an irresistible erosive force, Xiaoyan let out a low roar, and the majestic soul force like the ocean swept out. A very strange sound of birdsong filled the entire acacia flame domain. Bang bang bang. The harsh sound of metal collision reverberated directly in the field, but the soul wind was still attacked by Xiaoyan's sudden soul attack. After a fight, the two were evenly matched, and they immediately retracted their respective attacks and stood silently aside, but Soul Wind knew vaguely that they would be unable to capture Xiaoyan today. Damn it! This guy's combat power is too terrifying. Seeing that Xiaoyan still had no intention of attacking, as if some terrifying offensive was still brewing, Soul Feng's face finally turned ugly. The attack method of the Soul Palace was originally designed to deal with the soul body. If it directly attacked humans, its combat power would undoubtedly drop a lot, not to mention Xiaoyan, who had the flame of holy flame, his own strength was even greater. Decrease in magnitude. Accept the sanctions. Eye of gaze. After Shun breathed, Xiaoyan's pupils turned into a deep color, and a more dazzling soul force roared directly at the soul wind. Soul power in the late stage of Taishu? How is it possible? Not good. Aware of this level of soul power, Soul Feng's pupils finally flashed a trace of fear, his body trembled, trying to escape from here. Amber Behemoth, explode. Xiaoyan muttered as he watched Soul Wind prepare to escape. Suddenly, the ferocious beast exploded completely, and the power of amber holy flames blocked the water surrounding the acacia flame domain. www. Link to novelmtl.com. Natal Soul Lock. Give me the lock. Seeing Xiaoyan so arrogant as a king, Soul Wind clearly realized that if he was hit by Xiaoyan's soul attack, plus the holy flame in his hands, it would be enough to truly obliterate himself. Ooh! The dark wind and black mist continued to emerge from Soul Wind's body, and immediately roared towards Xiaoyan overwhelmingly, but unfortunately, Soul Wind's soul power has only just entered the early stage of Taishu, and it is far behind Xiaoyan. There are too many, so there is no suspense in this battle. Boom! The soul attack and the amber rock's soul fire attacked together, and suddenly the once invincible soul wind was slowly destroyed, submerged under this destructive offensive. After a few minutes, calm was restored here. Guru, Lin Qingwen swallowed hard, looking at Xiaoyan as if he were looking at a monster. It's a pity. I didn't control the amber rock's soul fire and soul interference fighting skills, and it was destroyed directly. I wanted to find out some information. Looking at Soul Wind, which was directly beaten by his own attack, Xiaoyan shook his head. Let's go directly to the Tianxing continent. After doing all this, Xiaoyan didn't stay too long, and stepped directly into the space passage, heading towards the Tianxing continent. However, this time, the Star Continent was a mixed bag. Not only did the three major factions compete, but also the Soul Palace, the Holy See and many other forces were introduced, which was quite complicated.